are live. Eric Butler, we are live. This is real. Welcome back to Unauthorized Opinions, UOPod.com. Like, share, subscribe.
It's pure propaganda and it's super cringe, by the way.
An unopened can of orange soda just chilling in the parking lot. I was like, yeah, I gotta vote for Trump, dude.
It's great here, a lot of fat chicks and a lot of screaming.
Your podcast sucks. It's mental, mate.
When I was 17, I drank some very good beer. Welcome back, everybody. We're back live and in effect. Eric Butler, myself, Andrew Chapados, uopod.com, patreon.com/uopod. Welcome, everyone, from Rumble, YouTube, Twitter, all the audio listening platforms. It's not abundantly clear that we're on Getter right now. I will continue to criticize this platform because I don't understand it.
You always forget the Twitch.
By forgetting her at this point.
Is there something on your mic?
Is there something on my mic?
Like a little piece of lint or something? Okay, there we go.
There goes. Bunch of fluff. So much to get to today. We've got Jada Pinkett Smith versus Tupac in a sense. Arnold Schwarzenegger. Some crazy Sam Bankman-Fried allegations from his ex-girlfriend. The troll of the Upper East Side, I'll call her. And then Clayton County Commissioner. Where is that story out of, Eric, before we get to Jada Pinkett?
Georgia, I believe.
Georgia?
I believe in or around Atlanta, I think.
We're going to find out. But for now, the slap heard around the world. Will Smith, Chris Rock. I'm still not entirely sure it was real, Eric. The way he moved when he did it, it was kind of like a professional wrestler. But assuming that it is, she is his wife. That is Jada Pinkett, 90s movie star, who has alopecia, I guess.
Name two of the movies.
The one with Queen Latifah, where they're robbing banks.
What was it called?
I don't know, but that doesn't mean it wasn't good. It was good.
Well, I just, we can't. Was she a star?
Or she was one of 5 black women used in those types of movies, yes. Just as there was, that guy who is a detective in all the movies,
I don't know that guy either. And I could probably, just off the top of my head, I could name 2 of the movies, which I guess technically would make you a star, right? If you get two movies. What is that? Is that a fancy car outside or something?
I live next to a road where there's just a stretch here where everybody thinks it's their time to shine.
Gotcha. So yeah, I guess as I'm thinking about it now, yes, 2 movies would make you a star, I suppose.
So I think she's trying to desperately stay in the news for some reason right now. She had mentioned that she was shocked that Will Smith referred to her as his wife when she slapped Chris Rock because they've been separated for 6 years or something like that. We all know that she slept with her son's friends, which is really weird because she's probably at least late 40s, early 50s, like Will Smith, and she's sleeping with her friends, the friend of her son in their early 20s. Whole family is crazy.
Which is like some Pornhub type stuff. Am I wrong? Like
it's some Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen stuff.
Hot mom bangs. What the hell is going on? You guys are despicable.
Jada Pinkett Smith claims Tupac had alopecia, kept it secret due to stigma.
Mm-hmm,
okay, so this is something you claim 30 years after the person's death almost, so you can stay relevant or so you can get in the news. I guess she might have known Tupac at the time. What is this piercing going on through her ear? This is like a hypodermic needle. Jada Pinkett.
Wait, hold on. Go back up. Go back up. Like, just look. This is without sounding like a complete and total jerk. Like, she looks like movie level evil, bro. Like, she looks like does she not look
leader of an admiral spaceship fleet?
She's the
admiral of a spaceship fleet.
Yes, something's just not looking good, bro. Just, surface level ad hominem attacks. It's like, dude, you look like, you're about to destroy the fleet of, I don't know. All right.
She's been sucking the energy via psychic vampire powers out of men for many years, so maybe that's why. I mean, if she was with Tupac, I don't know, was she? She's claiming Tupac's bald look was no coincidence, nor was it a fashion statement, rather just straight up hair loss. The actress's latest revelation comes courtesy of her People magazine interview. We'll check that out. Right click. Which just dropped this nugget of news. Who's writing this, TMZ? Come on now. I get you got to write it somehow, like, oh, TMZ, oh, breaking news. Oh. In their sit down with her ahead of Jada's new book, there it is, Eric. Now, every time we see somebody like this come out with a stupid claim from the past, it's because they've got something new. One of our biggest revelations was, what's her face, Hawaiian former senator? Tucker Carlson's favorite.
Tulsi Gabbard?
Tulsi Gabbard, when she was just saying all these things, and then it was to drop a podcast.
Oh, yeah. I do remember
big revelations. She says, I don't think Tupac ever talked about the alopecia he suffered from, going on to explain that his hair started falling around 91, when he would have been about 20, shortly after he had famous run-ins with cops in NorCal. Right. She adds, his alopecia patterns were far more extreme than mine. I don't think Pac ever talked about his alopecia, but he also looked really good with a bald head. But that was during a time and during an era that you wouldn't. He just wouldn't talk about it. I mean, I don't think there was this huge stigma around.
No, there wasn't. It's all, come on, give it a rest.
Slap. Eric, something I struggle with, and I think many people struggle with these days, is our rose-colored glasses.
The stigma against alopecia.
Yeah, that's what we all struggle with. I was going to say our rose-colored glasses as we look back at history. Now, if you watch the Tupac movie, which was signed off on by his people, but people in his family didn't like it, showed that he wasn't actually a criminal. Many people know that he was an art student, a drama student, went to a good school, became an actor, and then he was basically acting his way into this thug thing. He joined Murder Inc. Records, and they were the real criminals.
Not it. Murder Inc. was, come on,
Murder Inc. Death Row Records.
Hey,
Ja Rule would have liked that comparison, but he joined Death Row, and they were the real criminals. And he basically turned a blind eye to that and sort of wanted to be, thrown into that mix. Same thing with NWA. You had Dr. Dre, who was a nerd on a keyboard. You had Eazy, who was at best a weed salesman. And you had Ice Cube, who had nothing to do with any of that. And then I forget the other DJ they worked with, or the other guy they worked with who ended up leaving. But none of these guys were real gangbangers. And even the F the Police song, which I'm saying because we're 10 minutes in here, the reason they wrote that song was because their friends got arrested for shooting at people's cars with paintball guns. So they were upset that their friends got arrested for committing a crime, and that's where F the Police came from. So I look back and I think a lot of these things are way overblown. And then I'm thinking of this during this story because Jada Pinkett was supposed to be this like hardcore, like she was in all the movies about, living in the street sort of thing. Same with what's her name? Queen Latifah. But these are people who are acting since in their late teens. So for her to bring up this thing like, oh, there was a huge stigma around it because if there was a stigma, which I don't believe there was, it was because you guys were pretending to be, hardcore, that you couldn't talk about real issues. And I have a problem with her bringing up a guy who's dead 30 years later to promote a book that she's got. Am I wrong on that?
No, but that's what she's completely despicable, bro. And she looks evil. That's why even like when you look at the picture of her and that shiny bald head, which she's walking around in so proudly because we're battling the stigma or whatever the hell she's talking about. It's all absolutely ridiculous. And I think to your point about Tupac, who may or may not have been involved in the thug life, which he quite obviously notoriously had tattooed on his stomach. It did kind of usher in, like think about Lil Wayne or Chris Brown. Those were regular, Lil Wayne's been a rapper since he was 16 years old, but it wasn't until he was damn near 30 where he started carrying around a red flag and talking, you know what I mean? Him and Birdman got into all the gangster stuff later, and Chris Brown started talking about he was a gangster later. Notoriously 6ix9ine became a gangster later, which I never really understood. It's like you wait until you blow up to start gang banging, or does the gang? I'm not here to suggest that being in a gang cannot help your music career, right? I mean, I guess it can, especially when the entirety of the music industry is large. I mean, everything is corrupt, everything is fake, everything is phony. So I don't know, but I guess my point is, I think that was sort of the early days of rappers, you know, claiming to be gangsters after they had been big. And as far as Jada is concerned, I mean, it's just she's we did this news cycle. What was it, a year ago, or was it even 2 years? It was a long time ago. The slap now, about a year ago, right? Am I tripping? So she has to bring it back. She has to double down on embarrassing Will Smith. She could have said we weren't married back when the slap happened, but she didn't do that. She waited another year to say that so she can sell this book, and it's all just completely despicable. And to bring it full circle, she looks like an evil woman in that picture, and it makes total sense what she's doing. She's a conniving, manipulative, power hungry, attention starved woman.
I would imagine, and they say here in the People magazine story about how he started losing his hair after he was beaten by.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
They say in the People magazine that he started losing his hair after he was beaten up by cops. Interesting to pair those two together. The trauma. But what was I saying? Right. She probably sits down with a PR person, says, we've got this book coming out. What are some things that we can talk about? And Tupac's in the news. You know, you used to date Tupac, so he's in the news because they're trying to solve his crime. So do you have any stories about Tupac? And of course, the slap with your husband had.
But wait,
he's not actually your husband.
Go back to he was beaten by police officers. So a man that we know wasn't really a gangster was somehow abused by the cops, and People magazine here wants to, like, without fully connecting the two, they want to like subliminally say like the police are just so. It's
Well,
like
that's what she said. She's
okay.
the one who brought it up.
All right, fair. Still, okay, whatever. Still, it's like, yeah, like we're still latching onto this narrative of, you know, like just demonizing the cops, even though I would venture to say that the cops should be demonized from a completely different angle, because they are in large part henchmen of corrupt politicians, right? So I would say we don't need these despicable, you know, yes men, but for a completely different reason than the other people would say we don't need them, if that makes sense.
For her to say, and she said societal pressures, according to People magazine, the reason why it would not be talked about is because nobody cares. There wasn't a victimhood economy like there was today, and now she can say societal pressures, and you're supposed to be like, oh my god, this poor woman, this poor filthy rich woman who happens to be bald because of this illness she has, but nobody actually cares because they understand it's an illness. So if you want to make I try to not make fun of people for something that they can't help. If you want to, go ahead, but I'm not going to say
that is a lie.
What do I make fun of people who think that they can't help? I want one example.
Look,
is it obesity?
Well, no, it's more of the special needs kids and the special needs memes that
I don't make fun of anyone for anything. Eric's just mad because I sent him great content that we're not going to talk about. Okay, I took a picture yesterday.
Yeah, so did I. I took a lot of pictures yesterday. I'd love to.
Where were you?
I was in San Francisco, and it's bad, bro. It's dark.
It's dark.
Yeah,
they're running out of light. No, I know what you're saying. Is it? I saw that you asked people about the border. Was there complete? What I'm trying to ask is there still complete wanton disregard for all the reasons why it's a terrible place in the world? One of the certainly top 5 worst places in North America. is there just an obliviousness that's still going on and still thinking that being super progressive is the right way to do it? Are these people feeling stuck there? What are they feeling about that region right now?
Well, I think the video you're talking about is actually a little bit older. I just had to go back through the archives. But
Okay.
I did in a roundabout way touch on the border. Um, and what's strange is that the people who let me people know, okay, and obviously I have a point of view here, and I have a perspective, so maybe I'm leading myself in the wrong direction, but it is clear that in the small amount of people that I spoke to, they're hip to what's going on. They are also admittedly s- scared to speak speak the truth, right? Like I talked to a fast food worker at Shake Shack yesterday who said that she would like to see Donald Trump back in office, but literally said I can't tell anybody here. Like it's all absolutely insane. So I guess to answer your question, um, no, I think a lot of people I talk to know. They know what's going on. People you would think would be 100% in line with the establishment. I'm talking about fast food workers, old, you know, lesbians from the 70s, like people that you would think would be would be completely on board with the insanity, are like, you know what, we've had enough. Which does beg the question I've said plenty of times before. While I want to be happy that people I talk to see through this, it is bad that it won't matter. You know what I mean? Like nobody. I don't know how many times I have to say it, but the London Breeds, the Nancy Pelosi's, the Joe Bidens of the world are not going to sit back and say, we've been outvoted. Everybody knows what we're up to. That ship sailed. So this is something way bigger and way more sinister, bro. They're not gonna take their foot off the gas. They're not gonna. Do you think anybody at this point in time is gonna say, oh yeah, maybe yeah, we went a little heavy handed on that. We should stop and do something that people like. Nope, that ship sailed. So I don't know if that answers the question, but people know. People know.
They will never apologize. Justin Trudeau will never apologize. He won't step down. I don't know why he won't. Even the crazy Australian communist lady stepped down. New Zealand, sorry. They just voted in an alleged conservative. I saw yesterday
I like
that,
how you say an alleged conservative because we
yeah, because I
just
don't
don't
know who
know
he
yet.
is. He's just a conservative in name, apparently. And then in Louisiana, I read from Red Eagle Politics. He's saying that he's happy with who got voted in for governor in Louisiana. I trust his opinion for it to not be a rhino. So that could be something. But the people who are in power in the major population centers, you get rid of Cuomo, you get Hochul, right?
Yes.
You get rid of Gavin Newsom, who's coming after that. It's not Larry Elder. It's going to be someone even crazier. They fail up, and when somebody has to be removed for whatever reason, they have to be removed, which is usually something so blatant that it can't be ignored. They just say, "Okay, we're getting this person out. They're the worst person ever. We agree with you guys. We're getting this person out. Let's just slide in, racial identitarian communist in here." Boston mayor is a crazy person. Obviously, London Breed's a crazy person. You got these DAs everywhere that are
They're
funded.
not crazy. They're
Gross.
evil, bro. This is an evil
Well,
thing. They know.
I use the word crazy colloquially in the sense that their belief system and the things that they're doing are wild.
Insane. Fair enough. I will say though, on the plus side, and some people probably won't like this, but without trying, I did not know that there was a free Palestine protest. I didn't know. I should have known. It's quite obvious, right? Like everyone,
That's anti-Semitic of you.
we got to do I get out of the train station and there's thousands of people, hundreds at least of people marching around with their flags. So I'm like, well,
Mm-hmm.
this is not what I planned for, but let's see what they have to say. And yes, there are a lot of them there are a handful of them who are stupid and they're just marching to be marching and they want to be seen, but they don't want to be heard because they don't know what they're talking about. But there are some people that were, without stepping on any toes and angering anybody, certain things they said did kind of make sense as far as eliminating funding for wars. I mean, it's very simple stuff, right? But everybody
Well,
gets
the
up in
way I
arms.
see it, Eric,
Mhm.
is very simple. Are there wars or conflicts in other regions that America might be in the interest of funding in some way, shape, or form? Like, let's go something completely off the map. If China starts invading um, Taiwan, or what's the other one? If they start invading places where Americans get their chips from, there's a real interest for America to arm those people and help protect them, whether I agree with the idea of war or not, which I 99% of the time don't, unless it's affecting our homeland. However, all that should be items 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 on the list, and numbers 1, 2, and 3 should be affording things in America, the border, how much are your taxes. Like, before you go and fund the world and do all these endeavors and Middle Eastern wars and Eastern European wars, before you do that, and if you have hundreds of billions of dollars to do that, how about you spend half that much on homeless people? And I know that's very virtuous to say, but there's got to be something you can do there, right? Giving money to Hawaiian people because you guys messed up the infrastructure there. Making subsidies for housing so that people don't have to live in either a townhouse or an apartment building in New York that's $4,500 a month, something like that. Securing the border, building the wall, putting armed guards on the border, fleshing that whole thing out. There are tons of things, items 1 through 99, that America could do with its money. Before I'm going to say fund, carpet bombs in the Middle East and Eastern Europe.
It does sound like, and I don't know. Look, I'm, as one famous bartender once said, I'm not the expert on geopolitics, right?
It's true.
So I don't know.
She did say that.
But it does seem like America may be funding both sides of this war. It just seems like that. You could fact check me. I don't know. It seems like that might be the case. But my point is, on the plus side, there does seem to be, out of what the media will have us believe, there does seem to be a little bit of nuance. And even if I disagree with certain people, there does seem to be, there is a group of people, a sect of people that are able to articulate their positions and not just be, brainwashed zombies. Like, so if I talk to the Palestinian protesters, I don't really know what they're protesting. Like, maybe protest isn't even the word. It's like a demonstration, a social. I don't know, but they have their points of view. You can agree or disagree, but then I also talked to some, and we'll move on to the Atlanta story or whatever you got next after this. But I talked to the notorious Black Hebrew Israelites, those
Yeah,
the Kyrie
right.
types, and like, and as much as, dude, here, I talked to this guy for like 15 or 20 minutes, bro. And of course I will, completely take it out of context and turn into a 60-second reel because that's part of the job. But um he says a whole bunch of stuff that makes sense. He talks about immigration, he talks about his stance on abortion, he talks about all of this stuff, and I'm like, you know what? You're dressed up very silly. You look like a Mortal Kombat character, but what you're saying does kind of make sense. And then at the very end he says, and it's all the white man's fault. And it's like, dude, it's like, dude, you had me the whole way, and then you just point the finger directly in the, like, sure. I mean, yeah, I guess you could say most, like, the political establishment is mostly white, so there is a level of corruption there. But let's not pretend that there's not a boatload of Black people who are, for better or for worse, also probably being used. Like, remember what it was, 2 or 3 weeks ago, that Black lady with doing her, neck roll and snap and her big Louis Vuitton pin, talking about how much Joe Biden loves his kid, and
Yeah.
it's all completely despicable. But I said all that to say, when you actually, even in a place like San Francisco that's completely crazy, there's dope fiends, there's trash, it's all disgusting, but everybody is not quite as stupid as I thought.
Fair. And I'll be sure to bring up the Black Hebrew Israelite guy at the next white people meeting that happens. Now, I wrote about. I feel compelled to write about Sam Bankman-Fried's case
she
because
is just
because that's getting lost. Hunter Biden stuff is getting lost. The border is getting lost. All this stuff is getting lost in the fray of the news cycle. So I don't see too many people writing about it. The Epoch Times is writing about it. I'm writing about it. And I just want, I think it's important that people still know that this guy allegedly was partaking in things that were illegal at the time. So Bankman-Fried's ex-girlfriend, which you see there, Caroline Ellison, crazy claims here that they
She
used
is
customer
not
deposits.
very easy on the eyes.
Listen, Eric, as a person who doesn't insult people for things they can't help,
Wow,
I
I
will not
didn't.
say that she is turned into a cave creature of some kind. I think she's like 28 or 29. He's 31ish. I looked this up recently, but they're not that old.
She looks like some type of fish or something. Anyways,
It's gotten much worse for her. So a couple of the claims are completely insane. So basically what they're saying, Eric, is that FTX, which we knew took billions of dollars and had these gigantic spokespeople, Tom Brady, Kevin O'Leary, all these people.
Steph Curry.
Steph Curry, what they were doing, they had their like sister company that she ran, that Ellison ran, his girlfriend at the time, called Alameda Research, and that was their um hedge fund. So that's the thing that they give all this money to, and that's how they spend everything. But they gave them like something like a $60 billion credit, and she's saying he directed me to commit these crimes of fraud, money laundering, and everything. She was getting paid $20 million a year in bonuses and bonuses in 2021.
Wait, so she's thrown him under the bus. Is that what you said?
Yes. So
Okay.
all of the people that he had working with him are all now coming together to cut deals to make sure he is the one that gets punished. They're all still facing jail time, but he is obviously facing a lot more. So in previous court revelations, Alameda was revealed to have a $65 billion credit line with FTX, which eventually resulted in an $8 billion debt. So they were taking money from FTX because they were allowed to, and they ended up taking $8 billion, and a bunch of that was customer deposits. Now, this thing that they did was they programmed it into the FTX platform where even if the money wasn't there, Alameda was allegedly able to siphon out money. So they ended up taking out $8 billion. And then revelations she recently claimed in court was that $100 million of that were used to bribe Chinese people, Chinese officials. And why were they bribing them? Because they put $1 billion allegedly. They put $1 billion allegedly in Chinese, wherever it was. They put $1 billion of cryptocurrency. I don't know if it was in banks, in accounts, whatever, holding companies, wherever it was in China. They had $1 billion in there, and China wasn't going to let them get it out, it seems. So they had to use $100 million of that to try to bribe Chinese officials. Another way they tried to get the money out from these Chinese companies is they set up accounts in Thailand under the name of prostitutes. This is what she's claiming, that they're opening accounts in Thailand under the name of prostitutes. So it's really ridiculous. She even claims, now I'm not sure if I believe this part. Maybe I should if I believe the other parts, but she said when things were hitting the fan, he even tried to sell, or he even contemplated selling part of the company to, crazy places like Saudi Arabia's crown prince. So this is all this stuff that's going on behind the scenes when they say everything's fine, we're taking care of your money, but actually what's going on allegedly is that they're using the customer deposits to pay off their loans. They also said that they were using all this money to pay politicians. So they allegedly used $5.2 million to donate to Biden's campaign, and then, Eric, another $70 million to election campaigns. I don't know what I just did there. I clicked on the wrong page. Sorry about that. According to Time Magazine, more than $70 million was donated to election campaigns, along with another $40 million to politicians and committees ahead of the midterm. So he's spending, allegedly, of course, you have to keep saying that it's an ongoing lawsuit, but allegedly over $100 million on politicians with, Bill, Joe, and Sally's money. And so the simple way to frame this, Eric, is that people are donating money to FTX. They're saying, hey, Alameda Research, you can take all this money out. And then Alameda Research is saying, we're going to give it back to you to pay off your own loans and debts and make political donations. So it's allegedly this huge wish-washy way of just taking billions upon billions of dollars, and he gets to do whatever he wants with it. because technically a different company is taking it out of his company and then they're just loaning it back to him. Does that make sense? So he's
No,
taking all these.
no, none of this it's all.
Well, like that's what they're doing. I'm saying if I'm explaining it, what they're doing properly, they take the funds from customers. The other company loans it from FTX and then loans it back to Sam Bankman-Fried so he can donate it to corporations, politicians, all the while the money's not actually there.
Yeah. Oh, so we're back to a long running theme of this show, which is, of course, everything's fake.
Everything's fake.
Everything's
Allegedly.
Fake. So
the Patriots are in control.
And do you, I should say, think that he's going to face any real consequences? What's the worst thing that could happen to SBF, in your opinion? Obviously,
I think the worst thing that happens to him is he gets sentenced to like 30 years in a slap on the wrist prison, and then he gets out in a couple. I think that's the worst thing that happens to him because, officially he's facing life in prison, Eric.
And shout out to this guy, bro. Like, I mean, you've got to be one hell of a salesman, right? Like, to build up this completely. I mean, he sold something, right? Whether it's his weird little, dorm room persona and his sloppy haircut and t-shirt and all that stuff, whatever it is. But he was able to pull something off that very few people would be able to do. Notably, they had their logo on the side of the Miami Heat building. I mean, this is just through the roof, but it's always a little bit too good to be true, right? It of course reminds me of Elizabeth Holmes, right? Who had been scamming people for, I don't know, the last decade or whatever she was doing with the Theranos thing. And then after however many years, she finally gets a little slap on the wrist and she's probably at some resort prison. I don't know if that's worth Google searching, but I wonder where her scam stacks up. It's probably, I don't think it would be quite as big as this one. Maybe that's something to look into a little bit further in detail. But all of that said, it's highly unlikely that this guy's going to have almost a Hunter Biden level of armor around him. Like, he's too deep in with these corporations. He's too deep in with these politicians for anything real to actually happen to him. Which, of course, last thing here, also remind you of the fact that Hunter Biden, as we've known, it's not new, will constantly have his charges dropped. They're going to, some mainstream outlet is going to report that, Hunter Biden's getting indicted, and then 6 weeks is going to go by and they're going to say, oh yeah, charges dropped, and then move on and nothing's going to happen. So he's not at that level. SBF is not at that level, but close.
What I think happened is, and of course I have no evidence for this, this is all hearsay and conjecture, Your Honor, but what I think happened is somebody thought, like, this guy, this huge nerd guy, he's got something here. We can pin everything on him and get away scot-free. So everyone made money off of this guy, and all the money's just gone. They're not getting it back. So you get this guy to do all this crooked stuff, allegedly, and you get $100 million in donations, mostly to Democrats, wherever that money may have fallen. These big time celebrities get their payout, and the money's just gone. And then instead of him saying whomever told me to do this is to blame, you get all these kids. They're not really kids, they're 30. They just are thinking like children. There was a co-founder, there was another guy who worked in their Hong Kong office, and Caroline Ellison, and they all point the finger at him and they say, look, he's the blame. It's like in The Simpsons when they set up Bart to be the mob boss. It's like a little bit of extortion, a little bit of this. The kid had his fingers in everything. So they just blame everything on this guy, and then all of a sudden they can wash their hands of it. Billions of dollars are just gone.
Canary
and it's never coming back.
Burns.
Canary and Burns. The money's never coming back, Eric. Everybody got away with it scot-free except for these like 4 individuals who were in charge of it.
So,
and if it's because they're too stupid to realize it, that might be so. And I can imagine a situation where this guy is coming to Sam Bankman-Fried, whomever he is, or group of people, and they're saying, listen, my name is Canary M. Burns. I represent politician X and businessman Y, and they would like it if you did this. And then as soon as things start going bad, he would be like, I don't know who this person actually was. There's no actual tangible evidence that I was told
Everybody
to
can
do
always say
anything by anyone.
everybody can always say, "Oh, I was a victim of this crime too. I didn't know." That's kind of how this thing works. It's like I was a Tom Brady, of course, is going to be. And look, I'm not sitting here saying that Tom Brady is not a victim, but it's like, Doug, you're worth $1 billion. Like, do a little bit of research, right? Whoever is head of the Miami Heat or whatever it used to be called, FTX Arena, like, so d- snap out of it, you absolute clowns. But uh, who clearly, whether it was SBF or somebody who is faceless and nameless behind the curtain, obviously we're on talking about like Bernie Madoff type of stuff here. Like somebody had to know that it was going to collapse, right? Like you didn't start like you had to know it was gonna happen. It was a scam from the start. It didn't just get to a certain point and you're like, oh no, we've lost control. No, this was a scam from the start. Allegedly, I don't know. Like when this whole thing started, did anybody there? Okay, I shouldn't say anybody because there probably were people who didn't know. But the people at the top had to have known that this was not going to end well. They knew it was a scam from the beginning, and that's I guess that's the evil part for me. And this is apples to oranges perhaps, but think about California and Los Angeles County right now. They're having an issue hiring police officers, and they're making DACA recipients. They're making illegal aliens, basically police officers now. But there's a catch-22 because those illegals can't carry guns, and it's like you knew. No, you mean to tell me you got this far and then said, "Oh, whoops!" Like you knew this from the start. Like, how are you pretending now that like, oh, well, we didn't know, bro? We're talking about billions and billions of dollars, and you're pretending, oh, well, it was him, it was him. No, doc, somebody knew, and if it's me, I'm throwing all of you guys away. And they don't
One
they
of
don't want
them,
me to be in charge. I promise you that.
the guy who worked in Hong Kong, whose last name is Yadija, I think it was Adam, but I don't recall the first name at this point. He's the one who said that they were using customer deposits to pay off loans, and once he found that out, he got out. Of course, this is what he's going to say. I had no idea, but he said it was wrong when they started using customer deposits to pay off loans. So if Bankman-Fried really knew what was going on, truly was a mastermind, then they're saying that he's taking loans out. I don't know why. When you have, I don't know, $1 billion to your name, why are you going so deep and deep? Did you think the money is just going to keep coming? But once you start
Exactly.
taking the money that is coming in from people, therefore their money is no longer in this little system where they're making money off of it. If the bank's just taking your money and saying that it's still there, that's when everything starts to break down. Once the fake money comes out and it's just a number on a screen, like the housing market crash, which is probably coming again, that's when things start to go wrong. We'll move on to big Arnold. Arnold, what are you doing? You can't say this. I don't believe anything Arnold's saying personally. Like, I don't think he actually thinks that the Democrats are the worst. We can be reminded if he was a California Republican governor and how little of republicanism he actually did. We can talk about his problem with Trump, where he was supposedly he replaces Trump on The Apprentice, and he said how much better it's going to be. That fails. He hates Trump. We can recall how he says you shouldn't have rights during coronavirus time. And
And
now he's saying the Democrats want to mess up every city in America, Eric.
yeah, well, I don't know if I believe that he believes it, but it is quite I mean, I think it's pretty obviously true. And let's not forget that he replaced a man named Gray Davis in California who was recalled. So just think about how long this corruption has been happening, right? Like, how does a place like California recall their governor? Then they elect the governor who was the last Republican governor of this state. And you fast forward 20 years, and Gavin Newsom becomes the governor after destroying San Francisco. And then he faces a recall election, but somehow wins. So this we can sort of connect this to, Hillary Clinton losing. And now that regime, that establishment knows that they are not going to let these losses happen anymore. Right. So what happened in 2002 or whatever, when Arnold won as a quote unquote Republican, they now know we're not going to let that happen again. If you think for one split second California will ever see somebody who's not 100% on board with the Democratic establishment hackery quote unquote leadership, then you're wrong. So, and then you have New York as well. Just let's remember that Andrew Cuomo replaced Elliot Spitzer, who was ousted for hooking up with high-end prostitutes, right? So, out of all the places, California and New York, the most disgusting blue bastions of liberal nonsense, have these long histories of quite literally ousting corrupt governors and other corrupt politicians. Lieutenant governor under Kathy Hochul, by the way, who was ousted. And I don't think that this is happening because people are seeing it and they're saying, no, get rid of him. There's probably some infighting going on, right? So Lieutenant Governor Brian Benjamin probably closed the deal that Kathy Hochul wasn't in on, so she had to get rid of him. But my point is, now, with Arnold here, him saying that the Democrats want to destroy everything, whether he believes it or not, up for debate. But it is true. And we've seen governors in both of these states, California and New York, for the past 2 decades get recalled and do completely corrupt things. But for whatever reason, whether it's the population that can't connect the dots and they keep electing these people, or something far more sinister, that regime is not going to let themselves be outvoted. But sorry, I got off track there a little bit. Let's see what Arnie has to say.
This is actually a good segment, and it's interesting to me because this is on Rob Lowe's podcast, and I'll bring up one from Dax Shepard's podcast recently too. But he says Lowe told Schwarzenegger that Dreyer, the former congressman from California, said that Republicans stand for, in no particular order, strong military, low taxes, less government, more personal freedoms, and then noted he was forgetting one. Schwarzenegger then reminded Lowe that he was missing the ideal for strong law enforcement. Lowe then asked Schwarzenegger, who is former governor of California, what he thinks Democrats stand for. Ruin your cities, he said. That's what the Democrats would say. We're about ruining the cities. We want to F up every city in America. It seems to be the theme right now. When a shocked Lowe asked why that would be, Schwarzenegger replied, I have no idea.
I have an idea.
I think he knows the reason too. And the reason why I think that he might be telling the truth on this is because Schwarzenegger is from Austria. He's lived the American dream. He has been in all the movies, of course, and he's seen what California can do, even if it has the corruption laden in it. As we talk about, you and I talk about the good old days when it was just money laundering or whatever it might have been between politicians. He's seen all that, and he sees that probably everybody can get their beak wet along with the American public. And the fact that he no longer sees America as a place where it can be strong. You can love America. You can wave a flag. You can go to the movies. Stuff like that is remember, he grew up in America in the 80s and 90s. So that's probably what he wants as well, like so many other people.
Yes,
and it's not a racial thing.
That old style corruption, right? Like give it,
Yeah.
like you said, you could get your beak wet without destroying everything in your path. But
Yeah.
I wanted to say I spoke with not yesterday, but about a week or so ago in San Francisco, and it's really sad how you can't ever record the truth. It becomes very difficult to record the truth, right? So if you talk to
Mhm.
people, they will give you the truth, but as soon as even something as small as an iPhone comes out, then they tense up and can't say anything. And I get it, especially if you're a cop. But the cop made a very good point that I think we all know, but he was unafraid to say it to me candidly, that the reason San Francisco is in the state that it's in is because if anybody cleans it up, they don't get to keep asking for money. Very simply, I'm paraphrasing a
Mhm.
little bit there, but he's like, well, he started naming off like 3-4 different like quote unquote city programs, like city
Of
ambassador
course.
this, and and community outreach and all this stuff, where the political class, the London breeds of the world, can constantly be asking for more money, because and the money vanishes into thin air. It gets siphoned, it gets filtered through pockets of bureaucrats all over the place. None of it actually goes to help the people, because if it did, then something might actually get fixed, and then they wouldn't have any reason to ask for more money. That was a cop. That was a San Francisco police officer saying that.
Well, yeah, it's like they spend how many millions every year in California on homelessness, and that doesn't really do anything.
Well,
The I wanted to mention how it's interesting that some of these actors, Rob Lowe's been around for 35 years. He's got enough money. Dax Shepard, who's no longer with his extremely left corporate political loving wife, Kirsten Bell, had this guy who's on Queer Eye for the Straight Guy on his show, and he made him cry because he didn't just agree with everything he said.
I forgot about this. This was like a week or so ago, right? I
This was
forgot
a
about
couple
this
weeks
one.
ago. Yeah, let me see the
Okay.
date on this. September 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
And this guy was calling him anti-trans. So Dax Shepard was saying that he asked him whether or not the New York Times is a left-wing paper, and Van Ness, this guy, said it is not because it has questioned sex changes and hormones for children, therefore it is anti-trans, so it can't be left-wing. Shepard then insisted the paper simply challenged and asked questions about the issue. Some people are very uncomfortable about teenagers transitioning, Shepard said. Again, this is a guy who punked late 90s, early 2000s, maybe just early 2000s, in a couple movies back in the day, early 2000s. And that was liberal enough for him to be in California, and is extremely left as it is. That was liberal enough for him, right? Now he's in his 40s, maybe 50s. And he's like, wait a minute, doesn't anybody understand that this is not left, or this isn't hardcore Republican to not want to have teenagers be transitioning? How do we know, he says, how do we know that the person's not going to change their mind? Then there's another counter argument. If they kill themselves, going to your argument, Eric, where they always say it's life or death. If they kill themselves, then that's really effing permanent. To even question it makes you an enemy. I don't think that's the way forward. And then this guy, who very much sounds like a teenage girl, because that's what he wants to be. He wants to be able to have this attitude of like a pretty girl who doesn't have to answer any questions. I feel like I'm talking to my dad before he shifted to his legitimate concerns about transgender athletes. This whole thing, Eric, I feel like I'm talking to my dad. So this isn't an answer. I'm going to shame you for having an opinion that I have equated with somebody who's old and therefore uncool. And he talks about boys playing in girls' sports. He was saying that it doesn't matter, it shouldn't matter actually, if boys compete against girls, because 99% of kids who want to play sports aren't going to go to the Olympics. So if you don't have Olympic aspirations, Eric, which is fundamentally a misunderstanding of sports and which sports go into what professional league, then why shouldn't boys be allowed to dominate girls if most people don't become professional athletes? Because he's extremely, he's a gay man, he's extremely leftist and into pop culture. He doesn't understand how anyone could like sports, so he's saying, what does it matter if boys play girls in sports? And then he said, I could just cry because I'm so like tired of having to like fight for little kids because they just want to be included. I wish that people were as passionate about little kids being able to like be included or grow up as they were about fictitious women's fairness in sports. I'm very tired. And then he goes on to
yeah,
say
bro.
that
I'm tired too, bro. Yeah,
you're
we're
a
all tired.
misogynist. But he didn't want to say last thing. He didn't want to call Dax Shepard transphobic, and he makes a point of saying that. And I think he didn't want to say that is because Dax Shepard is higher on the Hollywood political totem pole than he is. So he knows that if he labels Dax Shepard as transphobic, that's a bad thing. Dax Shepard's going to be like, I'm going to make sure you can never work again. So he made sure to stay clear of that. But he did say he was trans misogynist, which makes no sense.
Well, it's just.
So I just thought it was interesting that these, left wing Hollywood guys are saying, no, this stuff is too left wing for me now. And it's even Rob Lowe and Dax Shepard, who are as, liberal Hollywood as you
Veterans,
can be.
yeah. Vets in the space for last at least 2 decades. But here's the thing, and this proves a point that I've been saying for a very long time. It feels bad to say the same things over and over again, but I'm just realizing that we have to keep doing this and get more people to watch the show, because even as something I said 6 weeks ago, somebody who's watching today may not have seen. But it's very clear that there are no questions to be asked, obviously, right? Like, just asking the question makes you an enemy. So, which leads me to the point that once they force you to do this, that's it. That's the big ask, right? Like I've always said, if
Big
we can
ass.
if we can convince you that a man is a woman or a man is a Ken doll or whatever this man wants to be today, if we force you to believe that and you do not have the ability to ask questions, then anything else is it's ours for the taking. We have complete control of your brain. So don't open that door without a mask. You're going to die. Go to the doctor and get 2 shots. I mean, look, we see Travis Kelce now. They're literally doing commercials like "get 2 at one time." What the hell is wrong with you people? Like, get dude, this is so painful to watch. But people know. People do know, and that's why one hand good, other hand bad, because even though people know, nothing will change. Right? I mean, are we gonna look, I don't want to sound extreme, but are we talking like full like revolutionary type of stuff? Like, dog, this has to stop.
The vaccine revolution, revolutionary wars of 2023. Are you familiar with the movie Idle Hands?
It rings a bell. It was like a monster movie from the 90s or something.
Early 2000s, I think, maybe like 99. Guy's hand becomes possessed. He chops it off. It's
Was it
pretty
like
funny.
Seth
Green's in it.
Yes,
Jessica
yes,
Alba.
yes.
The podcast is growing on Patreon, you guys. Every single week we have a bonus podcast on there, as well as previews and extended content before anyone else gets to see it. You can help us become Joe Rogan for just measly $10 a month in Canadian Monopoly money. You can help us become a super fan, like the Raptors super fan who is a Sikh guy who somehow affords to show up at every game. Or you can even
Courtside.
dish out courtside unauthorized person, which you will get untold benefits that we will, you can give us ideas. We will send you messages.
Feet pics.
Feet pics are the number one thing that we get requested on I was going to say weekly, then I was going to say hourly, bi-minutely. We're getting feet pic requests. And as you can see, more people are joining. We appreciate y'all. Bonus podcast usually goes up every Friday or Saturday. We had a unique guest. I'm going to ask for more just to entice you guys, just to tickle your nether regions, as they say. Our final story of the night, Eric. And by night, I mean day. Day and night. Kid Cudi, guy in a dress. The is the remix. The is that the one you're most familiar with?
No, I remember the
no.
original.
See, okay, no. There's the original where it's slow,
Yeah.
but is that the one that you think was most popular, or is there another remix version?
I'm not the right person to ask, because way back in those days, I really liked Kid Cudi because Kanye West had co-signed him, so I was listening to his music. I didn't really listen to like the DJ remixes or all that other stuff. I was literally like listening to. I don't know if you remember 10 Deep, the like streetwear brand, and they like did a collaboration, or like they had a t-shirt that came with a Kid Cudi CD. That's how long ago this was. It was the end. It was the end of like CDs, but there was a Kid Cudi CD that came with a t-shirt in like 2009. So,
well, that was a time, Pursuit of Happiness music video had the guy from Superbad in it.
because think about Drake, Kid Cudi, and Wale. I don't know if you remember Wale. They all came out around the same time, and I think it's quite clear now that Drake has won that race, but different story.
Video shows Clayton Commissioner appeared to have 5 drinks on night she claimed to be drugged. You better get him out of my face, etc., etc. Those are the words caught on body camera video after Clayton County Commissioner was found passed out outside a club and later behaved combatively to EMS and ambulance. This investigator started digging after Commissioner Felicia Franklin claimed she was drugged at a bar in Morrow. This is in Georgia, you said?
I believe so, yes.
Franklin ended up being taken to the hospital via ambulance after her night at the 404 Sports Bar. on September 29th. Channel 2 Action News can now show you drink by drink by drink what happened, according to Moral Police investigator. Wynn also obtained video of Franklin's interview with police sergeant, which gave her side of the story. Parts of the incident were caught on camera. Records show Franklin passed it outside the club after spending a night at the club with a friend or with friends. An officer summoned to help after it appeared Franklin hit her head outside the club. I don't know what they gave me, Franklin said on a video tape from police. So this woman, who is a what again?
City councilwoman? Oh, commissioner.
Yeah, different places have
a Democrat puppet, right? Like I think in Chicago they call them like aldermans, or there's like an alderman.
They have so many council members. They even have board members in some counties and such, which proves we're living in one of those states that allow sovereign citizens. It's all corporation, Eric. But I digress. So this woman said, who's basically a city councilor, said that she was drugged outside of a club because she was caught getting too drunk and being passed out in an alleyway, essentially.
Yes, and upon further investigation, I believe they saw that the credit card was called Franklin for city council or something. So she was very clearly, like, unabashedly using campaign funds to get drunk at the bar.
Stewart told Wynn a receipt collected from the 404 Sports Bar indicates Franklin paid the tab at the bar with a credit card called Committee to Elect Felicia. He suggested a document indicates that she had.
I like how there's two typos in this one sentence.
There's so many. Okay. 3 of the bars is apostrophe. That's a home run followed by a capital. Wow, we're gonna have to find out who this is. I'm gonna declare this the worst written, just from a spelling and grammar standpoint, that we've ever read on 135 episodes of the show. Might be 125. I don't remember right now.
25.
He suggested a document indicates that she had 3 of the bars. That's a home run drinks, which police documents indicate contained 40 proof Hennessy and Grand Marnier. Plus a glass of wine was ordered. A 9-ounce pour was ordered, Stewart said, describing the bar receipt. On video, a waitress is seen delivering the first drink of wine to the commissioner. Then later showed her delivering the first one, then 2 of the that's a home run drinks to Franklin, as described by the police sergeant. Wow, Eric, this is so poorly written. There's no quotation marks. Then says the first drink, then again the first drink.
Can you go to the top and tell us? It's like some local outlet, I believe.
Yeah, it's always fed in for MSN. MSN and Yahoo only exist because
WSB Atlanta. So they're the ones. Now, don't get me wrong. Obviously, Yahoo or MSN or whatever probably should have picked a bet. I mean, I'm sure other
by staff it says. So we don't even get to know.
It's probably AI would do better, I'm sure.
You write staff usually when, it's somebody behind the scenes who's writing it who doesn't want their name out there, or when nobody wants to put on their name on it so that the city councilor doesn't come after them in a situation like this. Is there actually video of this?
I think there is some video, because I actually watched a video of it. But I think the funniest part is, of course, that she used her campaign credit card to buy some of the drinks. And she was allegedly, apparently, also on some sort of medication, which is probably what. Now, don't get me wrong, 5 drinks is a lot of drinks, right? Like when you the number 5, it doesn't seem like that much, but when you're talking about alcoholic beverages for a lady that's probably 50 years old, like, I mean, that's a lot, bro. Like some Long Island iced tea type of like hardcore mixed drinks with Hennessy and
Grand Marnier.
Yeah,
it's gonna make it taste like candy, but I'm trying to find the video. I can't find it. Let me try putting this into YouTube. If you're a budding writer out there, you guys, or you're just looking for more information, 99% of the local outlets put their exact article titles on YouTube for when they cover it on a local broadcast, if you're unaware of such a thing. So you can usually find a YouTube video or story of the same name
of their segment on the
And we've done it. We've done it in real time. We've proved me right. This is only the 703rd time I've been proven right in real time on this show. If we can get past a
and don't
Nintendo
spend
Switch
another
ad.
dime on Amazon until you watch.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Linda Stouffer. Police are now questioning a local county commissioner's story after she claimed someone spiked her drink at a bar. New at 6, Channel 2 investigative reporter Mark Winnie is live in Morrow. And Mark, police told you they have not found any evidence that anyone targeted the commissioner, Felicia Franklin, with GHB.
GHB. She's going back to 05.
We can show you drink by drink by drink by drink on video what happened according to a Morrow police investigator. And we can bring
Wait, can you pause it really quick?
Commissioner
I think, okay. I like this. I don't know this guy from a ham sandwich. I've never watched this station before. I did see a bit of this clip though, and I just love the way this guy, he seems to have it out for her almost. Like he's like, we can show you drink by drink by drink by drink that she's lying. That's basically what he's saying here. And kudos to this guy. And I know nothing about him. He might be a stone cold fake news weirdo lefty, but this one is pretty funny in my opinion. That's it.
Look at that park behind him. Look how, I'm used to that around where I live, 5 feet from the curb.
Franklin's side, because we've got video of her interview with that police sergeant.
Get him out my face! You gotta get him out my face! I don't give a Get him out my face!
After reviewing all these hours of video and body cam video, there is no evidence to support the claim of Miss Franklin having something put in her drink from the body cam in the video at 404 Sports Bar and Grill.
This is Clayton County Commissioner Felicia Franklin.
That is correct.
The Clayton County Commissioner.
That is
the
correct.
Cameras and her claims suggesting she may have been drugged. Morrow Police Sergeant Scott Stewart says he reviewed hours of police body cam video and security video from inside the 404 Sports Bar and Grill to determine what caused Clayton County Commissioner Felicia Franklin to pass out outside the club and later behave combatively in a Morrow Fire EMS ambulance after an officer summoned help.
This guy is a great play-by-play announcer. This is basically going as per any of the body cam footage YouTube channels. Just a woman who's probably not committed a crime, just too drunk, should go home, and then she gets apprehended. She's like, get out of my face! Oh no, did we take it too far?
Oh no. Oh no.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Linda Stouffer.
We'll get it. We'll get it back. But I wonder
I'm really enjoying
how much
this
money
video.
people make off of these we can get around this YouTube. We're just going to get it at the exact time we want it.
I was 17 years old when I took over my family's small farm.
No, you weren't.
Today, we
That sounds like a lie.
At 404 Sports Bar and Grill.
This is Clayton County Commissioner Felicia Franklin.
That is correct.
The Clayton County Commissioner, the cameras, and
The
her claims
commissioner, the
suggesting she may have been
cameras,
drugged.
and she was
Morrow Police
wasted
Sergeant
at the
Scott
club.
Stewart says he reviewed hours of police body cam video and security video from inside the 404 Sports Bar and Grill to determine what caused Clayton County Commissioner Felicia Franklin to pass out outside the club and later behave combatively in a Morrow Fire EMS ambulance after an officer summoned help because she may have hit her head outside 404 the night of September 29th.
She's been on medication for 2 weeks.
A Morrow police document says, quote, there is no evidence to support the claim of Ms. Franklin having something put in her drink. This is obtained from video at 404 Sports Bar and Grill, unquote.
We are pending a subpoena for blood to see if blood work was done at the hospital when she went.
They didn't draw blood for whatever reason.
Commissioner Franklin has told us her doctor says her behavior and symptoms were consistent with someone having drugged her with GHB,
Wow.
commonly known as a date rape drug. And in fairness, one video shows...
I don't know what they gave.
Are you okay?
No, I'm not. I don't know what they
Where's your
gave
purse?
me.
Sergeant Stewart said a receipt collected from 404 Sports Bar and Grill indicates Commissioner Franklin paid the tab with a credit card called Committed to Elect Felicia. He suggested a document indicates she had 3 of the That's Home Run drinks. A police document indicates it contains 40 proof Hennessy and Grand Marnier. Plus, a glass of wine was ordered.
A 9-ounce pour was ordered. The waitress here is delivering the first drink of wine to Commissioner Franklin that she ordered. This is the first home run drink that Miss Franklin ordered after the wine. That would be the second home run that was ordered by Miss Franklin. That's the part where she left the drink at the table. Nobody at that table as well. So that's the home run drink delivered by the waitress there. We believe it's her fourth drink.
Fourth drink, your evidence indicates, ordered and received.
Just standing
by
behind the
Commissioner
desk
Felicia
yelling at this cop for his
I'm being
report.
very blunt with you.
All right, I think we've seen enough. So she drank 3 big drinks and a glass of wine, was too drunk, allegedly, falls into the alleyway, hits her head, cops come, paramedics come. Unless the bartender wanted to get sued, lose their job, and possibly go to jail because they hated this city councilor so much that they were going to drug her, then she just got wasted and got embarrassed. And then I was waiting for the fact, I was thinking maybe she was just, that's something she said while she was drunk. You know, you're wasted, you say they drugged me, whatever. But then to go say my doctor says it was GHB, to double down on this is just insane, because I think she might be committing a crime by using the city credit card or campaign funds. I guarantee you that's going to cause some problems for using campaign funding to get wasted.
Yeah,
Eric,
but
what is your complex take on this?
no, well, it's par for the course for these corrupt political establishment hacks, right? Like you you use a campaign credit card, you get hammered, wasted, then you get mad when the cops show up and literally immediately point the finger at somebody else as if somebody was trying to. Really, bro? There was a 50-year-old man there who really wanted to take advantage of the city councilwoman or whatever. Give us a break, dog. And I don't understand how claiming that was the case would eliminate you from the crimes that you committed. So yeah, you're going to create another crime so you don't look quite as bad if that were true, but you still use the campaign credit card to buy the drinks. Right? So I'm not, don't take this the wrong way. But even if what she was saying was true, would that eliminate the crime that she committed, or the malfeasance, the dishonest use of that credit card? I mean, that would still be true. Am I right?
Yeah, if that's indeed against the law to use what appeared to be campaign funds, judging by the name, even though it's very difficult to read from that poorly written article. If that's what happened, I think that would be against the law. I don't think you're allowed to use campaign funds for anything other than funding or campaigns. But are you allowed to say that, a night out with my team is proper use of campaign funds? I don't know. I think it's the standard. I am embarrassed about being drunk, and I will not admit that I just got wasted and ended up in an alleyway.
It's also kind of funny how the tape that they show there is like, first drink, she's sitting down having a glass of wine like a civilized person. By the third drink, she's like dancing on the stage. It's just like par for the course.
Oh, what did they do to me?
Yeah, dude. It's like, what do you
drugged me?
What do you like, or what are you, 19 years old? Like, this is something that I feel like would happen to a college girl.
It happened to a friend of mine. No, it happened to a friend of mine who, when I was in the army, I will not say his name. I can say his name. It was Kyle. Is his first name. There's a few Kyles, and we're all looking for Kyle. Nobody
Shout
knows
out
where
Kyle.
he is.
I'm sure he's watching.
Nobody knows where he is. It's not even very late, and everybody says, you know what? We've been looking for him for like an hour. He's a big guy. He's a muscular guy too. He's a big boy. He probably just went home, or he's with a girl or something. He probably did something on his own. He'll be fine. One guy says, you know what? I'm just going to go look for him one more time. He finds him. Now, I didn't see him find him, but he found him in an alleyway, sleeping on a pile of garbage, using a discarded, disgusting blanket to cover himself. So it does happen. People do end up in alleyways. And I was told, reportedly, what he said was that blanket was warm. Okay. Even though it was a garbage pile blanket. You can hear the the racing, a boat going by, it sounds like.
Well, that's gross. But people in San Francisco live in alleyways on purpose. They love it there. So to each their own.
Shout out to street pooers. They're in every city up and coming, pooing in the streets. Patreon.com/UOPod. UOPod.com. And anywhere else you can find us. Thank you for Spotify, Google, and Apple listeners. Thank you for everybody on Rumble. We love Rumble. We encourage you to stick with Rumble as they have stuck with Russell Brand, unlike other platforms. Buy Eric's book, New York City 2020. It only gets better with age. I have one over here. Gonna have to have it a part of my new set coming soon. And shout out to the people, the 6 or 7 people who drive their boats down the street every night. Shout out to the police for not ever ticketing them. I'm not pro traffic tickets, but the people are going 100 down the street every single night with their fart cannons, if you will. Sounds like boats, sounds like sea-doos, sounds like a lot of stuff. Eric, final words, final thought?
Nope, just buy the book, bro. New York City 2020 by Eric Butler. It's on Amazon.com. Looks like it's getting a lot of interest. The price may have jumped up a little bit, so buy it right now before it jumps again.
That's the promo if I've ever heard one. Buy it now or we'll increase the price.
Turn it up, Jordan.